THEs are the future. They should have been the past. Let me explain what's happening in higher education. This is the first generation of 18 to 24-year-olds who have been born in the 21st century. But the problem is, those educating them, professors like me, were either educated in the 20th century or were educated by people who were educated in the 20th century.
Well, is anyone else here trying to earn money for college?
Your mom goes to college.
And you know how we measured our ability to perform in the 20th century was by rote memorization and tests. Sitting in a classroom, proctored, being observed, making sure no one cheats, just so that we can regurgitate on a piece of paper what we have learned over a semester. That's old news. And that's one of the problems with higher education in the 21st century. We still haven't experienced the 21st century. Hi, I'm James Callahan, and this is The Do-Over Show. And in my 20 plus years of teaching in higher education, tenure track, and then as an adjunct moving to the private sector and making a little bit more money, the one thing I have learned by staying in higher education is that the way I learned it is not the best way, or at least not the way young adults today are able to learn and process and use the things that are being communicated in higher education. So what are THEs? Take-home exams. Yeah, take-home exams. They are the cool thing, the new thing. Why? Because they not only test skills that they have acquired, but it gives them an opportunity to exercise those skills in a practical way. Let's take a look at THEs and how important they are for active and engaged learning in the 21st century, and how to employ them if we're teachers and how to take them if we're students. Now, one confession up front, I've been using take-home exams for a couple dozen years in higher education. When I first did it, there were complaints from colleagues. There were complaints from administrators. How are you going to make sure they don't cheat? Oh my gosh, cheat? If that is your criteria, if you're able to teach a course and test people on the knowledge they've acquired in that course, and they can cheat in taking that, then you're not testing them, you're not challenging them, you're not giving them an opportunity to develop real-world skills. You're simply encouraging them to experience higher education and the testing as though it were an eating disorder, bulimia, where they binge and they cram the night before and then they purge, they spew it out on a page. I know people who are still using Scantrons. You know who you are. Now, where's the research on take-home exams, and do they really work better than in-class exams or real-time exams? Well, here's what the research says. Take-home exams are usually skills-based. That is, they give people an opportunity to take skills that they were to have acquired and you're supposed to practice throughout the course and put them into practice, writing an answer. That is, producing an answer on a problem that they have not yet seen before. So it's not just repeating, but it's applying. Take-home exams not only add skills-based learning, but they also add real-time experience. And that is, instead of just the artificial time of needing to reproduce in a fixed period of time a certain set of answers, standardized testing, for example, skills-based testing and take-home exams gives people an opportunity to learn and to experience at their own pace. That is, in the real world, rather than simply like they're on a game show, needing to spew out something before the clock expires. No, real world experience, the kind of experience you get when you're actually given a job and you actually are paid to do things rather than paying people to do things to you, like higher education. It gives them a chance to actually exercise those skills. And the third benefit that research indicates about THEs or take-home exams is that it gives them an opportunity to create an activity experience. That is, we retain knowledge when we apply it, when we use it, when we experience it, better than just when we take it in and cram it away in a corner of our brain to spew it up the next day. That is, when we acquire something through experience, through active engaged learning, we actually retain it better, longer, more effectively. Now, there are different kinds of take-home exams, and the most common for especially profs who are really insecure and suspicious of their students and not sure that it's a good thing, but maybe they have to use a take-home exam because of, for example, different learning plans. That as students come and they said they need more time or they need new equipment in order to take an exam, and more individual education plans or IEPs are part of the higher ed experience, so that, quite frankly, giving an exam during exam week in a classroom for a fixed period of time is no longer acceptable for about a quarter to half of the students that you'll encounter in higher education. Well, the most common kind of take-home exam for people who don't have any experience in this is that it just mirrors the way they would give an exam in class. It is fill in the blank or multiple guess or 50-50. You know what kind of tests those are. And they simply give them to them at home and they ask them to take them without any books or anything around them, or they proctor them. If you were in online learning through the pandemic and all that, then you know that you probably experienced a regular in-class test, but you had to do it at home, and there was a real-time proctor, either a human being or a mechanism that measured it. One student actually had to get up, show their entire surrounding room, door closed, no computers, no electronics whatsoever, in order to begin and end a test. And they were proctored. Now, that's not what take-home exams that actually encourage learning and activity learning, that's not how they function. So that's the first step. That's the bad kind of take-home exam. Next kind of take-home exam is an open-ended question where they actually have to do, as it were, a mini project. They have to do some research. They have to look at things. They have to figure out putting this together with that. And these are open-ended questions rather than simply fill in the blank or rote memorization. And also, people are giving group take-home exams where students will either get a group assigned to them. They usually don't like that, but they usually they want to assign their own group, and they build a group of people that they think are strong contributors so that there won't be people just sort of riding the coattails of others. And they do group take-home exams where they actually work on a project together. Now, I know not everybody, especially those who've got a Ph.D. in higher education, you never did a group Ph.D. So this is absolutely unusual, unique, foreign to you. And the concept itself might not even sit comfortably with students, but students who struggle with anxiety, especially testing anxiety, there's some that test well, and there's some that they know everything, they just test poorly. Take-home exams solves that problem. Group take-home exams reduce anxiety for those who experience testing anxiety because they get group reinforcement. They get encouragement from that, and they actually reaffirm and build up confidence in the subject that you're trying to communicate to them. Now, when I give a take-home exam, it is a synthetic type of exam. That is, it's open-ended questions, and it says, this is one problem, here's another problem. Put them together, give me a solution. Sometimes I ask contrarian questions, like defend Christopher Columbus, show the benefits of Christopher Columbus, not just the negatives associated with Christopher Columbus. That's an example. That is, you use something that will challenge them, and they won't be able to just figure it out just to read a quick entry in Wikipedia and come up with it. Ooh, the other thing, one of the paranoias about people in higher education is that we were given rote memorization tests and proctored and time limited. And we have this expertise and knowledge that we can snap out at a moment's notice. That's not the real world. And that's not how most people function. We're not like House trying to diagnose a medical problem. We actually have time, and we have to plan, and we have to do research. So what do I do for take-home exams? My take-home exams are impossible to cheat on. How does that? They're open book, open notes, and if I've used PowerPoint for the course, which I always do, you can use the PowerPoint. Some students actually record presentations that are made in class and group discussions so that they can use it then when they create an answer to a project, a synthetic, open-ended question that they receive on a take-home exam. Now, how are they prepared to do this? I tell them from day one that the exams are take-home, open book, open note, using the PowerPoint. That is, limit your research to what we shared as a class, but they're going to construct an answer on their own time. Now, for some, it takes an hour or two. For others, it takes an entire week of work. So I give them a couple weeks to work on this so that they can work at their own pace. I give them a deadline. They aim for that deadline. Great, they're all set. That is, it's impossible to cheat. It gives them a project, something real world, something that looks like what a real job would require. When your boss says, hey, I need a presentation for a client on this day, here's the research, here's the data, put it together, I want to see it's drafted the deck by Tuesday. That's what a take-home exam is. That's what you're actually going to do for the rest of your life. That is, it's skills-based, and you teach people how to do things, how to use the knowledge that they've been acquiring in the class, how to use it in a real-world experience to benefit them. They have an incentive to benefit them. Now, some of the hints to help you if you are a student, for example, and you're given a take-home exam, don't think that you just get to sit down and do an easy thing because, hey, it's easy, it's take-home, it's open book, open note. Take-home exams are generally harder and harshly graded by profs, whether it's our insecurity or not. But a take-home exam doesn't mean easier. Take-home exam usually means more difficult because you're going to actually have to exercise your muscles. It's like going to the gym and working out rather than reading just a book about doing push-ups. That is, a take-home exam is going to be harder. That means you should prepare for it. You should treat the class like it is a job. That is, you should devote regular time to the class throughout the semester rather than just cram at the end, that kind of eating disorder approach to higher education that most of us somehow still think is helpful. It's not even healthy. So you should prepare as a student, that is, go through it and start to look for questions and ask, hey, would that be a kind of question you would ask? Yes, I know people get upset. Is this going to be on the test? Well, guess what? Knowing what is going to be on the test will help people read better, prepare better. That is, it tells them what they should be acquiring. It's not a mystery anymore. Actually helping students by saying, this kind of question, I'd put this on an exam for you, where you take this and you'd use that and then you'd give a response to this. That is, it actually something that they can prepare for, get themselves set for, and they can think problem-solving skills. By the way, the number one skill employers are looking for today in students who are graduating, coming into the workforce, can they solve problems? Number 2, can they work together with a team or a group? Yep, the very things higher education, especially take-home exams, can help you with. Now, the other benefit of your student doing a take-home exam is that it does give you an opportunity to exercise a skill set that you should have acquired through the course. If you're not sure what skill set you're supposed to be acquiring through the course, like what kind of problem-solving skills you should have built up through the course, then show up for office hours and ask that question of the professor. That is, ask them, what skill set am I developing here? What should I be comfortable doing? How can I exercise? How can I learn to do this? How can I put these two things together? And if they give you a rote memorization thing, like memorize names, dates, places, or read this, then they're not on board with this, and they're probably not going to give you a take-home exam that's anything more than a reflection of an in-class exam. But a true 21st century professor, in true 21st century engaged and active learning models, will know what acquired skill sets are and will be able to help you reach those goals. So I'd like to hear in the comments below if you have any experience with take-home exams, giving them, taking them, and how did it make you feel? How did you do? Did you better than an in-class proctored exam? Let us know in the comments below. And your take-home exam for this is to tap the like button, because it really helps. And while you're down there, leave me your comment about THEs. How about you subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. I'm so glad you found me and I found you. Thanks.